want us to warm up a little bit, and
Yeah,
then
I
we'll
need to
go.
do that.
Me, 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 me.
La 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 la.
Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Sophie. I'm Emma's sister. That's all I am.
No.
That's all I'll ever be. When I'm next to Emma, that's it.
Okay, I think we need to like give backstory here because I always wanted to be like when Sophie got to high school, I wanted to look
Only
like
when I
her.
got
But
only
like
when I got to high school.
we wanted to be like each other, but then poor Sophie was always like Emma's sister.
It's just a nobody.
You were
If I was
not a
some
nobody.
no, if I was somebody, it was Emma's sister. That's it.
You were most distinguished or most distinct.
That was a shock. I swear I thought nobody knew about me or no one gave a shit about me. And then like I didn't buy the yearbook or anything. I was just like, whatever, cool. Like I wonder who got best hair or something. And then they were like, "Oh, Sophie, did you see yours?" I was like, "What?" I thought it was about to be like a mean one, like weird, like I don't know. But it was most distinct, and I was like, "Oh,
I mean,
okay,
true. That
yeah."
was like so true, and I think you're true to that to this day.
Oh, thanks, Emmy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
one thing I really admire about you is you don't give a shit about what anybody else thinks about you, and I think more people should live this that way, like be unapologetically yourself.
I mean, like, yeah, I really don't. Like, there's some days where I give a fuck, but then most days I don't because I'm happiest when I'm just me. And that sounds so, I literally can't believe that's so annoying. I just said that. Like, I love
I'm
being
happy.
me.
Is it like a CoverGirl brand commercial?
Yeah, it's like I just wrote a stupid poem and put it on Pinterest. Like, like,
Hey,
she
those
flew with she flew with the wind because she was free. Like,
because
I
she
don't know.
could.
And because she could. Yeah. It's just like ew.
She can, so she will. You
Yeah, it's
know.
like ew.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that got me through stuff in high school though.
Oh, it
Don't knock
works for
on
sure.
this.
No,
Don't
for
knock on
actually
this.
one of the I know that we're gonna get into it at some point. I actually have something along the lines of that. That's hilarious.
Oh
But
man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get
yeah.
into it.
Mm-hmm. I have my
So
answers written down.
let's go. Let's go,
Let's
y'all.
go.
As you
Let's
crinkle your
go.
paper in everyone's ears.
Hey now.
Um, so I have a quick icebreaker for you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Favorite throwback song, so like from high school, and what memory does that unlock for you?
Does it have to be a song? Can it be like bands?
Sure.
Yeah, because it's really hard to pick one. You know me.
Mm.
Um, bands like Falling in Reverse or like Escape the Fate, The Killers, Sleeping with Sirens, Pierce the Veil, all that. And like the Lumineers and Bon Iver. What memories it unlocks for me? It reminds me. Since I wrote this down, having no friends. And also, um, sorry. Um, but also like, when I listened to those bands, I would daydream about, like being whatever scenario the song was describing, I would daydream about being in that scenario. And it just takes me back to like being in solitude with myself. And
Sorry, I just put my seat down and I fell
yeah,
a
you
little
almost
bit.
vanished there for a second.
I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Well, first of all, I never knew that band was Bon Iver. Bon
Bon Iver. It
Iver?
means good.
Bon Iver?
Yes.
I thought it was
What?
Bon Iver. All these years.
I'm gonna vomit.
And
That's
I
hilarious.
especially never liked them. That's so funny. Okay.
You don't like Bon Iver?
I think I just always wrote them off because I didn't like their band name. I don't know.
What? That's it. It's just like,
Well, okay. Second of all, that's really sad, but I think it's really sweet at the same time that, like music. plays such a role in our life where that's why I wanted to ask this question because it really can, bring you back to a moment in your life where you were really feeling go to like the feels of a certain situation. You go live your life and then you come back and listen to, those songs again and you relive all over again. And it's really interesting because our grandpa, when he was going through dementia, he forgot everything at a certain, got to the point where he didn't remember anything. But then they played music from back when he, was a kid in Louisiana and remembered, it made him remember of like what he used to do, which is
Yep.
crazy. So that's why I wanted to ask that question.
Oh, I love that, Emma. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. Well, I want to hear yours.
Um, I think it was like 3 Days Grace, like that kind of era of rock, and it was the radio. We used to listen to the radio back then, and in
Hmm.
my truck, I had remember that little cassette that had the wire, so it was like my aux cord,
Oh,
but it was
yeah.
like with a tape recorder, and then you could like plug it up into your phone,
Hmm.
and so that's how we listened to music on my phone. But I think that was back like when Pandora was the thing,
Yes.
Pandora radio.
Yep. And you couldn't search music. And if you
Right.
did, you remember when I would play that dubstep and you're like, what the fuck is that? But then I would like
Oh,
pull up go to YouTube. You go to YouTube. This is the trick. Go to YouTube and pull up the bass boosted version.
oh,
Remember when that what is it? The Carter 4 came out? Was it that one? Was it the
I
Carter 4 or the
I remember my friend burned me a CD with the
Yeah.
Carter 4. 'Cause that's
Uh-huh.
when your friends would burn CDs with a mixtape with like stuff,
Yeah.
music, different songs. I honestly
Yeah, it was
loved that
pretty
because then you
old.
would lose the CD and then you'd find it again and you're like, oh, I wonder what's on this CD. Things so like
Nickelback.
I still fuck with Nickelback. Everyone else hates them. But I don't know, I like
Oh yeah,
Nickelback.
no. Yeah, same. People shit on them all the time. I'm like, what? I think here's what I think it is. I think it's because it's becoming trendy. So people are like, yeah, fuck Nickelback. They're stupid. But it's like they have
Okay,
they have some jams.
honestly, anybody who is like fuck this person but they're successful, I always think, well then you do what they're doing. Like try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's like exactly. It's like they don't suck. They're just not your thing.
It's not your so Bon Iver, I shouldn't say, I don't ever actually I've never said like F them. I'm just like I just never liked them. I don't know.
Oh my god. Oh fuck.
Okay. But yeah, I think it was like, 3 Days Grace, that kind of rock. And then I keep thinking about like there was some Kendrick in there at some point.
Oh yeah. For
Yeah, backseat
sure.
freestyle.
For sure.
That just
Yeah.
always slapped. It'll still slap to this day.
Oh my god, it'll slap the shit out of me. That shit's so good. Man, that slapped the shit out of me, man.
All right, cool. So let's kind of move our way into the reason of this episode because I'm hoping for this to be a quick, easy, digestible episode for people.
Yeah, yeah.
And this, I got inspired. And then this is when I brought this topic to Sophie, and she actually was the brilliant mind behind like the name of this episode, and it's called Going Inward. So this is all gonna be us talking about becoming introverted. So whether we'll talk about our separate experiences of introvertedness. And I think it's really interesting because we're sisters, but we've had different experiences with being introverted. Um, so why don't you start off and kind of tell us like what does it mean to you to be introverted? And then maybe you can go into some experiences and maybe how it's changed as you've gotten older.
Yeah. So I remember I mean, it sounds so stupid. Ever since I was a little girl. But like I remember being, I think it was probably fourth grade or something. I had one of my classmates tell me that I was like a shady tree. Like
Well,
that's
how old were you?
Fourth grade. I don't know how old is that.
What?
Yeah,
Squeeze me?
it squeezed me. But I felt that, and it actually kind of felt validating. I was like, oh, so you see me, but like you just see me, like that. Like,
Mm.
so I was like, oh, that's nice, I guess. I don't know. Um, but I've always been very, well, I was always very quiet, and then it probably wasn't until I got sober that I started to branch out and be. So I'm like an amnivert. I'm very much like
Ooh.
I can be very social and outgoing, and I love being that. I love being like the facilitator of the fun and like bouncing and like having conversations with people and then going on to the next one. Like I love that, but then I really love being alone, because I feel like it's safe and no one understands us like we do. That's it, you know. So no one can judge me. No one can have any expectations of me if I just am like, no, it's just me here today, maybe for the next week. That's it, you know? Um, yeah, free from confinement and expectations from others, like safe.
Yeah. So
Like
you
I'm
meant
giving
so
myself a hug.
yeah. So but that's a learned thing over time. So when you were younger,
Yes.
I'm sure that was like what the hell?
Oh,
Like why do I
yeah.
feel different? I don't have a name for it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
how was that for you then? Because I remember I have my perceptions of you, but like for you, how did it feel, when you're in fourth grade and there wasn't a word for it? And now you understand and like you've learned to cope and you can be more extroverted when needed.
Mhm.
But what
Yeah.
was it like for you as a kid?
Um, well, you remember how I've said, I think I said on our last podcast, but I tell you this a lot. Like I used to just always hate myself. So, I mean, that's what it was like it was a feeling of being very like nobody liked me. I felt like no one liked me because I didn't like myself. So I was like, it's better to just stay inside of myself. Like why would I
Yeah.
share myself with anybody? Like I'm stupid, I'm weird. You know, I was so weird. I was weird with you guys at home, but I knew how weird I was. I was like, I can't show this to the world. But like, yeah, it felt just like I just grew like I don't know, like a discontent for myself. So it was probably less introversion and more like self consciousness that turned into introversion. I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah.
but it didn't
Yeah,
feel
I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I can understand that. Like for me, so I like my whole life. So this is like it's interesting to hear our different like us being sisters but being super polar opposites. Growing up,
Mm,
I always identified as an extrovert because I loved being around people. Like that
mm,
fueled my fire and I I seriously could not be alone. I had to be with
yeah.
friends all the time. And I'm not sure if that's just the age I was at or maybe what was going on in my life. But then slowly over time, like as I've kind of after college and maybe a few years after college, more into like my mid 20s, I've noticed I've become way more introverted. So
Yeah.
the way I recharge, which will still be a question for you in a little bit, but I have to be alone now. Like I have to have time alone or I just feel entirely depleted. So I'm not sure if it's because I have more stuff on my plate now, like we've kind of talked about, where I am depleted and I am around people, so maybe I am getting my fix of extroversion, but I really have to tune in to maintain or like to feeding my introverted side too. And so I can notice like when I'm overstimulated now, which was never a thing for me before, but I think it's because I've checked the box of extrovertedness and maybe that box is smaller than it used to be. I don't know if this
Yeah.
makes any sense, but I like
No, it does.
visuals. So I'm wondering if I'm filling that box with like work and what I have to do work wise. So maybe I don't have enough room outside of work and
Yes.
I need to recover. And how I recover is through being alone or just being quiet or like doing my workouts
Yeah.
outside, just something like that. So I'm not how has it changed for you through the years? So I know you kind of
Um,
mentioned like being sober has helped, but yeah, walk us through
um,
that.
I'd say that I guess going from, I guess, becoming more self confident, I started branching out and putting myself out there. And I found that I enjoy humans, I enjoy people, even though sometimes I can't. Sometimes I hate how different we can be as humans, but I have learned that I really enjoy the connections that we can still make no matter what. Um, and yeah, I like it's just it's a good feeling when you can feel like you're really present with somebody, no matter what the situation is. You could even just be passing by, like when I was at Clinkles the other day, I'm passing by all these people and I'm just like, hey, how are you? And they're like, hey, I'm great, how are you? It's like, what a sweet little thing, like that's just
Yeah.
so nice. It just feels so good. So that's what it means. I guess how it's changed for me is that I became more self confident and found enjoyment in humans by allowing myself to
Yeah,
learn that it's okay and it's safe. You just have to know your limits and your boundaries with people. You have to have boundaries.
a thousand
So,
percent. I
yeah.
think boundaries are key, and I've talked about that a lot on my podcast of setting boundaries with a lot of different things, but it also is human interactions and two, how you view yourself. And
Mm,
so, when you dig yourself into a hole of like, oh, I don't like myself, you're in this hole and your view of everybody's so far away,
mm,
you know? So it
yeah.
just feels kind of isolating, I guess is the
Hmm.
thing. And that kind of makes you want to be a little bit more introverted because you don't feel good enough to kind
Yeah.
of dig out of that hole and like, put yourself out there to other people. So I
Yeah.
think, introverted can be a lot of different things for different people. I'm
Hmm.
not saying this is what this is for you and everybody else in the world, and
Yeah.
this is how you fix it.
Yeah. Oh God, I
Because
can't stand those people. I'm like, ew, shut up.
this isn't that. This is literally not self help. Like, this is how to fix your life. This is just, I wanted to compare how different it is for us because I feel like I've
Hmm.
started off more extroverted and I'm now moving towards introvertedness, but it's not
Yeah.
because of like low self-confidence. I think it's just
Oh yeah,
of
no.
of how, but it's different for us, like
Hmm.
how we viewed it. But I think
Yeah.
it's just how I'm filling my box more with
Hmm.
like and you might get there too because you're going to be in nursing,
Hmm.
so you just have to be more cautious of how you're spending your energy. I think if you don't want to overdo it or overfill your box. And some people have a bigger allotment than others.
Hmm.
So maybe they don't get as overstimulated as fast, but it is just like when you reach that threshold,
Yeah.
it's just like you have to release it somehow.
Well, there was so with my old job, I had to be so social and I loved it, don't get me wrong, but it was so draining
Hmm.
because you're literally just you're just pouring into everyone else. And it's like boom, 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 boom. Um, but I guess I didn't want to throw that out there because yeah, like knowing when enough is enough. Like you can have all the fun in the world, or like enjoyment, but there's a limit always. But it's sorry, last thing I'll say is I think it's so fascinating how you and I literally have just, you know, switched over because I have noticed that you've been more introverted or been more ready to just kind of decline any outside activities because you're like, no, I would like to be alone. And I was like, dang, Emma's not really like that, but I'm really proud of you for that because you said earlier, you said before that it you didn't like to be alone. And I remember that. That was kind of relatively recent. Like like you would call me and be like, I don't want to be alone or I something like that. And um now you are okay with being alone and I'm really proud of you for that. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like out of anybody, you would know. And it is interesting to notice that myself personally. If it, I'm out, I'm going to be 30 this year. So it's taken
Yeah.
me that long to be okay with being by myself.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a skill. It's definitely a life skill that some people are probably better at than others.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's taken a lot of time. Like, I would just have to be on the phone with somebody just because I could not stand to be by myself. Because I'm like, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not producing, if I'm not, I don't know, outside, then what am I doing? But sometimes
Yeah.
just being, I don't know, I truly feel like that's the only way. I really prioritize it now, I guess is a better way because of like what you're saying with your old job. I'm pouring everything into my clients because I love what I do, but and I want so badly to be, the best person I can be. But then at the same time, you're giving all of yourself and you do get some in return, but you've also got to replenish that somehow. It doesn't just refill automatically unless you're an extroverted person through and
Definitely.
through and you just thrive off of that. But I am just daggone exhausted.
Yeah,
So
that
I
part.
think it's been interesting to notice over the years for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So next question, and you kind of already answered this, but we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Can you or do you or did you ever feel lonely as an introvert?
Dude, hell yeah. I think you can. I definitely have felt that way. I still feel that way. Um, even, especially when you're around people and you just still feel lonely. You know that
Mhm.
feeling?
Yeah.
You're just like, just not in it, not
You're
there.
not matching the energy.
Yeah, I'm like up
Yeah.
here and like right here. I'm just like I'm not there, and it's no one's fault. It's just like, hey, like this isn't where I'm at right now. Like I honestly would be much better being at home, like with my
Yeah.
cat, or just like listening to my music. What I found is that when I don't get to listen to my music like for a couple of hours, I start to get upset. It's like I have a withdrawal. So it's like, sometimes after school, I just want to leave. I'm like, just let me get in my car and just God.
Well, I think that I'm really glad I asked that intro question because I feel like this ties in very nicely to our
Yeah.
conversation of
Uh-huh.
how, music is very therapeutic. And
Mm-hmm.
especially, you're just so good at understanding the lyrics and the story behind the song. So it's
Thanks.
literally Sophie will always explain to me, she's like, this is what this song's about. It goes along with this other song, and this whole album's a story, and this is what it talks about. And I think that's so cool.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm like a huge nerd for that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah.
beautiful. Even when it's like super screamy, you can't understand the lyrics.
I know. I'm
It's
like,
like,
but read them. Like you have to read them.
yeah. But
Yeah.
it's
And then you're
funny because
like,
it's like,
oh, yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's
Mhm.
definitely a few songs that I'll have on replay. Like Are You Really Okay?
Yeah.
By was that Sleep Token?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes me
There's
get in my feels every time.
there's a band called Lorna Shore, and I will guarantee you, you'd probably be able to pick out. He probably speaks like a couple hundred words a song, and maybe not that many, but like a lot of words, and you could probably understand like two. Like that's how
Mm.
growly and screamy it is. But when you read the lyrics, is like, damn, man. So
This is like a shout out for great music. If you're in your, I think this whole episode also is shouting out great music for when
yes,
you're in your feels to
yeah. Even when you're
validate
not,
you.
yeah,
Even when you're not, yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I'll be
Sometimes,
typing notes at work, just like, am I really okay?
yeah.
Just listening.
Let me consult Sleep Token.
Yeah, let me just make sure.
Yeah, just double check that. Sometimes like I'm not even sad, but I'll listen to sad music and I'm just like, but I'm not even sad. And then it's like I guess it's a safe way to feel the sadness for me. Like I'm not, so that when I find myself in a sad moment, I'm not feeling too sorry for myself because I've already exercised my sad muscle. So I'm
Yeah, yeah, you feel it. I feel like if you feel it and you let it,
yeah.
you Well, yeah, you kind of embrace it. You are acknowledge it.
Yeah, you're
That way
like,
you're not
I've already
shoving
felt
it
that.
deep down, like how usually with trauma you shove stuff down, your body like kind of scars over and shuts it
Oh.
down. And
Mm-hmm.
then like when you pick a scab, it just kind of goes like bloop, bloop.
It's like
It's like hello at the worst possible moment.
it's like the groundhog has seen it.
But for real, like we don't want that. So it's okay to feel your emotions, and I think music's a great way to do that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So yeah, I think to tie that question together, yes, you can feel lonely as an introvert. You can feel
Uh-huh.
seen as an introvert. I think it's just important to identify, what gives you energy and what depletes you. And then how do you feel better? Are you still laughing about the groundhog?
Listening, I promise.
So how do you recharge?
Listening to music. Just like music. But specifically in front of my computer or waltzing around in my kitchen. I'll like waltz around and like sing and dance and have like a little kitchen concert for maybe like 20 minutes. And then it turns into like, I'm like, you know what? I'm in the mood to dance. So then I'll just dance, for like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And then that's how I
I love
recharge. Is
that.
yeah, just like moving my body in a way that just makes sense to me, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's like all the things that I can't say with my words because I'm certainly not good with that. Um, I can just feel it come out of my body, and that's
Yeah.
it. So movement, music, um, yeah.
I think like for me, like how do I recharge or how do I
Mhm.
identify, that I am low on battery and my low social battery? I think for me, I just don't get excited about social interactions. I like feel this lag of I need like, ugh, okay, I have to do work right now because it's a little bit more to be my like to put on
Yes.
a
Mhm, yeah.
face.
Yep.
And when I feel that lag, that's when I know I'm like, okay, I'm running low. And then, as you've mentioned earlier, for me, it's just being alone or going on a walk, or working out. Honestly, working out with my music is huge. That's my favorite thing to do. And now that I'm getting back into swimming, I think that's a whole different type of therapy is swimming. Because have you ever just sat at, like, gone underwater, held your breath for a while, and just like notice how quiet it is?
There's a song called Atlantic by Sleep Token, and it's literally like the embodiment of just submerging yourself in water and just like, just leave me here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's beautiful. I'll have to listen to that.
Oh, you'll cry, dude. It's so beautiful.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But I think for me, that's something I really, really love, and I always come back to, even though I take breaks from swimming, but when every time I come back to it, I just feel so peaceful. And you just don't think about anything when you swim.
You know what's crazy is that you can't, I mean, you could probably get waterproof earbuds, but like you can't listen to music when you're swimming. And
You
so
don't even
you're
need
really
to.
in, yeah, you're just in silence. Like you can enjoy the silence that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, unless you're sharing the lane with somebody who's super
Mm.
annoying and makes a wave every time, like a wake, and every time you swim past them, you swallow water. That sucks. But like that's anti-therapeutic. But for the most part, I love it so much. And I think that's one of the ways, that's something that I always come back to.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It reminds me of when we were on the farm growing up, how just like being in the pool.
Mm.
We spent so much time in the pool and we spent so much time at the lake, and it's just water is very therapeutic. There's a
Well, like,
reason. What? No,
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, to go with what you were saying, just being on the farm in the summertime or any time, but again, so quiet out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I miss that so much
Yes.
of, we lived off like a back road, and there was really nobody ever driving there, and
Yeah.
it was just quiet, and you could hear the birds and like the what are those things called? The cicadas in the summer.
Oh,
You knew it was hot
yes.
when those things came out.
Yes. Oh, I could
Or just
cry.
like
You just unlocked like a total feeling of just absolute what a beautiful day. Like,
serenity, just
mm-hmm.
like on the hammock.
Yes. You're just like
Or one of
sweating doing nothing because it's so hot out, but you're like, it's so beautiful. It's just quiet and hot and humid, but it's like the air is just wrapping its blanket around you.
ooh, beautiful. Or one of my other things I miss, because I live in Seattle now and there's never thunderstorms here, but as kids,
Oh.
we'd sit on the front porch on the farm and watch the thunderstorms roll through.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just feel like the cold air sweep through. You'd see the clouds
Mm-hmm.
come through and pass by.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
You remember we would run around in the rain?
Yeah.
I did that. It was 2022. I did that and I was so happy and I came inside and
It's just like you don't do that as an adult? That's so like it's so I don't even know. When I run outside here and it'll rain, I have the same feeling. Like it just makes you feel like a kid again. So I think as
yeah.
adults, like trying to bring this all together because we're not going off on a tangent here. These are all things that bring us peace and
Mm-hmm.
serenity.
Yeah.
Like doing this, like, you don't have to stop when you're an
Right.
adult.
Yeah. Like why would you? Can I be honest
Yeah.
with you? I guess I'll
Yes.
right, fuck it. I cried so hard the other night because I was like, why are we so afraid to do things that we want to do? Like running around in the rain and like I don't know, like things that are seen as childish, but it's like no, it's a good feeling. Like as adults, we just like we keep ourselves from doing those things, from participating in things that help us feel free. Like we don't give ourselves the love and the acceptance in ourselves to do those things.
Yeah. Well, I feel like play is oftentimes forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And when I used to do ninja, it was just like a big playground for adults. It was so fun.
You used to love that. That was
I used to
awesome.
freaking love that stuff until I kept
Mm-hmm.
getting hurt.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do ninja to play around and have fun as an adult. You can literally go out
Yeah.
into a field or, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, just do stuff outside. Honestly,
Yeah.
even walking outside, blowing
Yeah.
bubbles. I walk by these
Mm-hmm.
people who blow bubbles, and like the kids love them, but they're adults out there just blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless you have anything else to say, we are gonna finish with some questions.
We can finish off with the questions.
Cool. All right. Completely unrelated to our topic. Turns the page.
This is getting real.
Favorite trash TV show? Go.
Okay, the first one, Family Guy, but it's not really trash. It's like you have to be very aware of things when you watch, but it's like it's still trash. So Family Guy, and then My Strange Addiction.
Ooh, was that TLC back in the day?
Yeah, yep. It's on
Oh
Hulu.
man.
You have my Hulu account. You should watch it.
I'll have to check that out again.
What's yours?
My favorite trash TV at the moment is Love is Blind. I was just texting Sophie earlier saying that I'm like, my brain cells are dying watching this, but I can't stop.
Oh yeah, just let him die, dude.
It's so bad. But I keep watching it because,
Yeah,
again, it's so like good at the same time.
yeah.
But I catch myself like making these disgusted faces as I'm watching. Like Mike looked over at me one night and was like, "Emma, why you look like that?"
What was the face?
I don't know. It's kind of like a Like a grimace
Like
almost?
a
I don't know. Yeah.
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 Oh no.
It's
Oh
just very
no.
cringy is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so awful. I love
I
it.
mean, I always think about could I be on reality TV? Like I always wonder what it would be like, and then it comes back to the introvertedness and I'm like, absolutely not. These
I would
people
do
are
it.
all up in your business. I would do it.
I'd be like, yeah, I'd be like, mind your business, even though I'm like, hey, look at my business. I'd be like, but mind your business.
Only what I say you can look at my. So honestly, again, like before you shit on anyone, good for them because I could not ever do that.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Question number two. What's your favorite hobby at the moment?
Oh, here's the, remember when I was like the stupid Pinterest quotes or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
well, one of my hobbies is going on Pinterest and looking at like hope core pictures,
What's
and there's
what?
hope core.
What is this?
There's also
Are
like
you
videos
well?
on. I'm trying to be. No, it's so cute. It's like and there's also like YouTube shorts or whatever of hope core things. It's like just really happy videos, like positive things. Like there's this one of this guy who as a child he was saved by this one police officer. Like his he saved him, and like 30 or something years later he finds the police officer and is like, hey, do you remember me? The police officer's like, no, who are you? And he said, you remember blah 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 back when you saved me, blah blah blah. And it was just like this moment of shock, confusion, and then realization that, oh my god, like that moment that happened so many years ago and you're here in front of me thanking me. It was like, it's just humans like
Yeah.
restoring faith in humanity, just like nice things like that. Um, I like to watch open heart surgeries,
On the
and
other end of the spectrum.
I was what I think I told you this. I was eating spaghetti with like really meaty sauce, and I was watching a coronary bypass surgery. I was like, wow, like this is so cool. And then I watched a removal of a pulmonary. It's forgot it, like an embolism. I can't remember exactly, but it's like all. I was like, oh, that's when I noticed. I was like, I'm eating meat sauce, and this looks like what this guy just pulled out of this guy's
Ew.
pulmonary. Yeah. So still like to do that, and I like to dance.
I love those, except for I don't know if I could watch the open heart surgery and eat at the same time.
It
I
was
think
weird.
surgery is fascinating though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think I'd eat food while I was watching them.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it probably.
Okay. This is my last question, and we've talked about music a lot today, more than I expected to.
I'm
Um,
so ready for
okay. Favorite song and why?
The Night Does Not Belong to God by Sleep Token. And I'll tell you why. So the album that it's on, it's called Sundowning. Do you know what the terms sundowning means?
That's with dementia, right?
Yes. So in people with dementia, sundowning is a medical term that occurs from the late evening into the late hours of the night. And it's really just like agitation, anxiety, confusion, kind of like when they start to get like combative in a way. Um, but so that's the album that it's on. But uh, it represents the a battle of mental deterioration. This is how I perceive it. It's like a battle of mental deterioration within the singer. And it's like a represents a loss of someone like a lover, or even like you could like a sense of self, like I've lost myself. Um and there's a part in the song, I'll try to keep this really short, but there's a part in the song where he says the night comes down like heaven, and he makes it a point to repeat that it comes down like heaven. So he's aware that when the night comes down, it comes down like heaven. And that's it, his mental state will deteriorate, and he'll succumb to his disease, when the night comes down like heaven. And at the end of the song, he says, the whites of your eyes turn black in the low light, blah, blah, blah. saying that the portal to your soul shuts when the night comes. And so like that's the end. That's the end of that person. That's the end of their existence to you, or that's the end of your existence. And sundowning has taken effect. So basically meaning that all things come to an end. It's a beautiful song.
Wow. Wow.
Bro, it's beautiful.
That's what I'm
What's your favorite
saying. You're
song?
so good at listening to music and understanding it truly for what it is. And I appreciate that about you.
Thanks, Emmy.
Yeah, that's
Fun.
beautiful.
What's your favorite song and
I
why?
knew that was coming.
I
My
just
answer is not nearly as good as yours.
it doesn't matter. Emma, it's music and you enjoy it. What is
I
it?
know, I know. Right now it's been changing. So I've been going through this weird phase of country again. I was really
Yes.
out of country for a long time, and I think it's just like
Mm-hmm.
when I was going through the whole Instagram cleanse, listening to country music was something that brought me back to a happier time for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I started to listen to. And so I really like Hardy, Hardy, Hardy.
He's good.
He's so
Yeah.
fucking good. So
Mm-hmm.
he does country and rock. So there's rock,
Mm-hmm.
two of my favorite types of music. So my favorite one right now is Rockstar by
Yeah.
Hardy, and it's just like a little spin off of like from like again his album's kind of like a story too. So it talks
Mm-hmm.
about how he's from a small town and like how basically to be big in country music you have to do what everyone else wants you to do. Like the record labels like fix your
Mm.
songs up so they're not even like yours anymore. And he's like talking about not wanting to, seeing off of the script that somebody else has written is what my interpretation is, and he kind of bringing it into his own of adding in the rock components of it and being non-traditional country, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool. But this one's like he's been feeling like a rock star recently, so he wants to write a song too about it, and it's just so cool.
Is that the one where he's like, baby, what you think about getting out of here?
No, that one is
Da-da-da.
radio song.
Yes, that's my
Yeah.
favorite one. That is so good. The Rockstar, I probably have heard of that, but Radio
It's
Song is
his
my favorite
newest
song.
one.
He has a new one?
I
Maybe
think
I'll
it's a
do like,
single.
oh, I want to listen to it.
You know what'd be so cool?
Well, it'd be so
What if
cool.
what if one day these all these
Okay.
people we're talking about,
Right.
well, at least one of them caught wind that we're obsessed with them. That would be great. Or we could like,
Yeah, it's like
what
we're
if we what if we like nobody's crossed their radar and they like I don't know. I'm just
a scenario where that would ever happen. It's like, why?
they find my podcast on Spotify. That's what would
Oh.
happen.
Yeah, they're like shuffling their favorite artists and then like Emma Schmidt podcast. Like it's almost like you know how some people can pay to get like more exposure.
Yeah.
What if you just like hacked the system and targeted their like whatever
Their
their
algorithm.
yeah.
All right, bet.
That's amazing.
2024 is going to be a big year. All
I
right.
love it.
Yeah, this is my year.
This is your moment.
Well, so I just want to say I just always appreciate you being on here.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting me about, mental health and being an introvert and bringing awareness and like saying, "Hey, it's okay to be this way if that's what you are and embrace
Yeah.
it." Yeah.
We all
Do you want
die,
to
man.
leave
Who
us
cares?
do you want to leave us with any last words?
Literally, I say this all the time. We all die one day, so who cares?
Oh my god.
No, it's
So
a fact.
morbid.
It's a fact. We all die one day. Who cares? You know what I'm
That needs to be
saying?
a t-shirt for you. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? But like, just live your life, dude. Who cares? That's
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And
Well,
thank you for having me. Thanks for like accepting me as who I am and stuff.
of
And
course.
like, there's so many sisters that literally hate each other for the dumbest reasons, and they will not like ever try to love each other as much as you and I do.
I
Not to
know.
sound like full of myself or anything, but like I really, really am.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
I have nothing
Yeah.
but love for you.
Yeah.
Well, so have a great day.
Thanks you
And
too. I'll probably text you after this. But
All right. All right. Peace.
I love you.